Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Tarot for Our Times. I'm Sarah, your medium on the go, and tonight's episode is brought to you by the Nine of Cups. And as you can see in the thumbnail that I have given in the title, that this card is about the smug merchant being overconfident, which is what I think that he is right now. He has really gotten away with, I'm talking about 45. He has been able to really slide through his court cases. So he's achieved the goal of running, is that he will not be facing any jail time. But there's a little bit more to it than that. Also, another meaning of this guy here is that be careful what you wish for. So that's going to be sort of like the theme tonight, using this as the focus card. And the whole thing is that yesterday he was not sentenced. He was officially a convicted felon, but he wasn't sentenced. A lot of people are upset. I'm not that thrilled about it, but I also realize that I wouldn't want to be in Judge Merchan's position, because I think he had no choice but to do that, because the Supreme Court might have held that back or worse. So I'm sure it really was hold his nose time to do that. But in the long run, maybe that's not such a great thing. So we're going to look into that a little bit. And on the other legal front, the 11th Circuit has authorized Jack Smith or for the Department of Justice to release the Volume 1. Now, the documents case is not going to be released at this time because of a pending trial, but I believe that, and I might pull some cards on that. There's a possibility that for the greater good, those two bozos could be pardoned or have the charges dropped. So then there's no issue about the jury pool being tainted with all of this information. If I were the queen of the land, wouldn't hesitate for a moment to do that. And or maybe just have them take some kind of a plea deal and a slap on the wrist. I mean, why not? They were probably going to be by the next one, they were probably going to be pardoned anyway, so why not have it work to some advantage? But anyway, that's just me. Now, that funeral of Carter and all of the stuff going on, that's been done to death. And I think sometimes, I have, and I understand the Midas touch people saying that could be a distraction about the whole little tete-a-tete with him and Obama. But I think that there was a big overlying sort of thing about his strength, or the air being taken out of the balloon, because it's sort of like Obama, took one for the team and was nice to him. And the others got to just completely snub him, except I think his vice president reluctantly shook his hand. His wife didn't. Love Karen. Boy, I never thought I'd say that. I love Mother. I could watch that whole thing all day long. So that's very important. So the one thing about the New York case and the conviction is that, granted, yes, he will be a convicted felon, and if there is an appeal, that's going to take a long time, and there, if he is in fact installed in that office, there may not be that much time for him to deal with that. So there may be some delays, and I'm not too sure that that's going to be overturned. But in the meantime, he's going to be learning, just like the Chinese water drip thing, is that he can't do this, he can't do that. I strongly believe that Canada is not going to let him in. A lot of other countries might, but I think that he set himself up for the fact that Canada does not allow convicted felons, and with his behavior, it's not at all surprising that they wouldn't let him in. But there is an underlying thing with the Supreme Court, is that they're not quite the rubber stamp for him. They never act well, during the 2020 thing, he lost a few rounds, but this was the latest reminder that just because it goes to them, it doesn't mean that he's always going to win. So I do want to pull some cards on what the future of him and the court is going to be. And because there are things that will be coming up, if any, there are lawsuits in the waiting in the wings by the ACLU. So I just want to read on the energy a little bit about what happens with him and the Supreme Court. So I'm using the Gilded Tarot Royale as one of my decks. So let's see with the current energy, what is, oh, I'll put this, whoa. See, we're going to see what the current energy is with this. So we have the Page of Pentacles. Wow, that keeps coming up a lot. And what that tells me is that they're the messengers. The pages are the messengers. And I'm going to say that the message here could be that he is... that the money, their messages that the money problems and the lawsuits are not over, and there's not much he can do about that as being president, because that's not a federal criminal thing. So they're going to be money messages, and we'll see what that is. So I'm going to be using also the Moon Garden Tarot. So let's see what the energy is with that. Three of Pentacles in reverse. And that standard interpretation of that is the bargaining and the discussion. I'm going to say that whatever money problems are coming up, that it won't be up for discussion, and which means that the court would not be able to, for whatever reasons, the court would not be able to address that. So let's see what we have here as the underlying things that, okay. In the past, there's been a lot of celebrating with the Three of Cups. There's been a lot of celebrating the decisions. And in fact, in going with the energy of the Nine of Cups is the whole theme of this thing, is that I think this is something that they have expected and been sitting in this comfort zone. So then we have the Page of Wands, all these messages coming up. So the Page of Wands, kind of in the present, is getting a message of things may be heating up, and that things are, the conflicts and things going on with that court isn't over. And in fact, if they may be beginning, which is could be the overall theme of be careful what you wish for. This presidency may not, he thinks like maybe a few years in Club Fed may be better, because that's where he would have gone, actually. He wasn't going to go to Attica or anything like that. Oh boy. Okay. We have the Six of Wands in reverse, which is the Victory card. and it's in reverse, which is saying he's in the future, he's not going to be winning. So he cannot, he really cannot depend on that court rubber stamping him all the way through. So, overall, we'll go a little bit in the past. Page of Swords. Okay, the Page of Swords is all about him, well, getting the message, but also sometimes it can be a spy in the camp. So I'm going to say there may be someone in his administration that's been doing some whistleblowing that may be causing, like, not everything of his legal stuff to be, approved by the Supreme Court. That could be interesting. We're going to see what unfolds with that, because that could be the secret thing. And then we have the Ace of Wands, which is kind of like the whole inspiration and realization of how his handpicking of this court has been very beneficial to him. And I'm going to say that this whole thing was the Roe versus Wade thing being overturned. That's been a good thing, but it's been a bad thing. It was a bad thing in 22, but apparently it was forgotten about, but I'm still not too sure about that. Election for entertainment purposes only. So, in the conscious thoughts we have, oh boy, here we go. Conscious thoughts is the fighting that is going on in this in Magaland right now, and it may be the fighting on what do we take to court, what do we fight over, and that's been very visible. So we've got that as the conscious, and then as the subconscious we have the Knight of Cups. And I would say that subconsciously, we're going to get a little Freudian here. Subconsciously, it may be kind of like the seductiveness and how he thinks he is the dreamboat of the century, and that all he has to do is just be really charming. So that's kind of what's been going on the inside. So I'm going to add in the regards, or that he could sort of like seduce the court into doing his bidding. I think carrying that over about his view of himself, which is not necessarily true. So, what he thinks of himself, oh boy. Even though he plays the victim, he doesn't see himself as that. This is what he thinks, that everything, then he did a big complaint job about the conviction yesterday, even though, boy, he really got off with no punishment. So, okay, so then we've got that. He doesn't see himself as the victim. He just as the righteous, he's just right. So that's what he thinks. What others think of him is, oh boy, the Sun card. The Sun card upright is all about truth and shedding the light on things, but people are aware of the fact that he's incapable of the truth and he likes to keep things in the dark. So they're seeing him as not only the outward liar, but the liar by omission. And that kind of comes under the category. Well, that's the whole thing. And fighting these legal things, you don't exactly perjure yourself, but you like don't remember, you don't shed the light on it. So people are becoming aware that he has been playing that game fast and loose. So what is coming up for him is the Queen of Cups in reverse. So this is the female energy of being passive aggressive, very needy emotionally, and and that sort of thing, and just very, very, it's kind of like the female attribute, like very much the victim, that sort of thing. And he's going to be playing that, even though I think people are getting wise to it. So that's a couple. Let's see, another future thing is that there's going to be a decision, the decisions that will be made. He's going to be very stuck in, because, and we'll get into that with the what went on in the funeral, is that he really wants very much to be loved, but then he really wants to rule the world. So he may think, like, to get some of that love back, which he had about 2 seconds with Obama, but that's not what it was really about. He may have to make concessions, which he really, really hates to do. So expect to see that in the future. So the outcome of this is, oh boy, the outcome is illusions and delusions, and he thinks if he can throw up smoke screens with that court, that's where he is, and that's very much that's very much his delusion. And that could also be part of the whole thing with his declining mental state too. So I'm going to put these back here. And I guess that really does bring us to that whole thing about the interaction with him and other people at the Carter funeral. And the one thing is, having read Mary Trump's book, is the one thing that and a lot of people in his position are like that, because of that toxic need to succeed. It's usually the father issue. It's like he wants to get the world to love him, but it has to be on his terms. It always has to be on his terms. But he still wants to go for that love that he feels that he didn't get. But and then there's that whole macho power thing and everything. So I think that is a very big, that's what's been motivating him. I've always thought, because I lived in New York and I did see him, in the news a lot, and always at these fundraisers. You look at the society page of the New York Times, and he was hobnobbing with the Clintons and the other intelligentsia, the liberals in New York, who were funding liberal causes and candidates. And that's sort of like where the classy people were. They kind of mingled in with the old money, old New York money. But I always got the thought that, the impression that he thought that they thought he was kind of crude and rude and the worst of the nouveau riche and all the awful things his father did. And that he hasn't, I have to give him enough credit that he does delude himself, but I think he has enough intuition to know, or at least maybe be paranoid and think that all of those people were laughing at him. So, but at the very least, he did not get accepted into that society. I don't even know if his parents did either. Um, they just sort of like didn't have it to get in with the cool kids. So that to me always explains why he kind of switched from that liberal democratic thing, is because he's getting back at them for not accepting him. I really think that's what's been driving the engine. But I do want to do a read on that, and I think we'll switch decks here and see, because there were some snubs. There were some big time snubs. I mean, the Clintons and the Bushes, and of course Kamala and her husband. Also, there was quite the bizarre thing that I saw on replays about how Trump was really staring at her, like in a way that was very, very creepy. And I think uh, Kamala she really caught on to that and gave him one of those looks that we know about. So I'm going to say that the energy around that and the fact that he wants to be loved, and here what is the whole thing around? I'll just only do a few cards on this. What is the whole thing around, and what will, what is going to be the effect of how he was not greeted with really warmly at that thing? And I don't know what it is about funerals. Whether it's national ones or in the family, it always brings out the dysfunction and the worst in people. So okay, so what we have here is the Chariot. I really, okay, what this is telling me is that his appearance there was not about grieving, but it was kind of like this social thing that maybe somehow, even though he was going to do what he was going to do, that maybe there would be some forward movement with that group of people he could never seem to connect with. So he was going to see if he could move forward with that. So let's see. So we have here, oh, but again, left out in the cold. So here we have that as in the past. And let's see how if the next one is going to say about how that's going to possibly affect him. Yep. Left out in the snow. The 10 of Cups. Okay. The 10 of Cups, I believe that, and usually that's the one in the standard deck. That's the one with the rainbow and the family. I'm going to say that right now what's keeping him, and I've seen this, and I do agree that this 10 of Cups in this type of reading could also be about the electorate. So I'm going to say right now he's kind of riding high with the electorate. That that's kind of keeping him going. And I think the fact that Obama kind of, had a couple of chuckles with him and this and that pretty much took his attention away from how the others treated him. But that's a good thing. That's a good thing. It was he put the pacifier in the baby's mouth, and they had something to talk about, but that may be another reading altogether. But that was kind of one of the things that accomplished was, as Stephanie Miller said on her show yesterday, he kind of got shoved there because he's so good with children. Okay, so he handled the baby very well and probably said something, oh, and all those people voted for you. Okay, so that's kind of keeping him from going, in this respect, too much off the rails. But then there are other things that, and the High Priestess, okay. The High Priestess, okay, so I'm going to say that, and this is a very feminine energy, that it was mainly, I will tell you that the the cold shoulder was that was fueled by the women. I could see Hillary, Laura Bush, well, George, I think that was pretty equally sped. That Karen, but Karen, oh boy, mother. Karen Pence, I'm telling you, she probably had a few words to say to him. So that was very female driven. And it's almost like I'm thinking that those women may have gotten together and said, I don't know, not me. I'm not, and I'm going to make sure the mister doesn't either. And so that was kind of, I'm going to say that it might have even been an unspoken thing, because this is a very spiritual, intuitive card. It might have even been an unspoken thing, but you're looking at women from various different faiths, I'll say, which is what this woman represents, and different beliefs. And yet they were kind of like able to get together, and if they spoke of it, it was only like, are you okay? Say no more. I think it was one of those. So there we go. So I would say that this could bring up some old stuff that would come back to him later, but it seems like for now the baby is pacified. Okay. Because I believe they really didn't want any scenes, him making any scenes, and Melania, oh boy, she was not happy to be there because the ladies weren't really into her either. But he doesn't care about that. It's all about he could care less. Any other guy, and all of those other people are in relatively happy marriage or decent marriage, or it's working for them, let's say. But yeah, so so this, but I would say that boy, there was that energy where they weren't having any of her either, and she looked like she could care less. Anyway, that's why she probably looked such a mess. But anyway, then we have the DOJ report and Jack Smith resigning, the report coming out, which I'm going to say is going to be not really favorable. I don't think it's going to prevent anything from happening, but I'm going to say that with all those people in Congress who feel they owe him something, I mean, when they see some of this stuff, they say, well, I guess whatever he has on me isn't as bad as all of this stuff. Well, let's take a look at it. So, okay, I might take a little bit of time with this. And as far as the Jack Smith resigning, that's really interesting. Let's see if he comes into this, see if his card comes into this at all. Okay. Calling all King of Swords, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. Okay, so let's go down with this. And we got to just keep this guy over here because this is the overriding energy of all of these readings. So, illusions and delusions about this whole thing. That I'm going to say that this may be part of it, and I'm going to use the blend of cards here. I'm going to say that he is going to somehow spin this whole thing like it's fake news, it's a lie, it's a this, it's a that. But I'm not so sure that people are going to buy this. So let's see what the energy is here. The Six of Swords. That's about sailing off into these smoother waters. I'm going to say that there's something about this when this comes out, like all these people who have supported him out of fear, these people like Lindsey Graham and the others that just thought he was so awful, and now they're just kissing the ring and other things with him and have been for years. I'm going to say that there could be a departure from that. There could be like, there's nothing that he can say about me that is really as bad as that sort of thing. And I'll just say, look at the creep and deny everything anyway. So this is interesting. So underlying we have, okay, yes. I would say he has been up against it as far as all of this awful stuff coming up about him, but he's been able to hold his own kind of on the higher ground and beat people back. That's in the past, and that's part of what feeds into his delusion. So then we have, oh boy, the King of Swords in reverse, which is, I was going to say that's Jack. This has been the Jack Smith card for a lot of us doing the, kind of even looks a little like him too. Okay, he's in reverse, which is saying in this spread, it's about he's leaving. I'm gone, but not until. But he's really putting the sword in before he goes, and so there's going to be a lot of very negative stuff in that. Maybe they don't even need the Mar-a-Lago stuff. There's going to be a lot of negative stuff, but he's leaving. My feeling is intuitively is like he wants to go back to The Hague. that's where his heart is. It's been okay. This was a nice, fun little break, and this is really interesting. And I did my job, but I have turned in the report. I'm done. It's out of my hands. Whatever's going to happen, happens. But I feel as though he could go back. I mean, his heart is at The Hague. Now, whether he's able to go back or not, that's another story, but I think he's going to make a really good try for it. Then we have, oh my God, you just can't make this stuff up. This would if when this report comes out, and it's supposed to be tomorrow or Monday. Of course, there could be another delay, but the future is the zapping of the strength. This is not. I think even I'm even going to go as far as to say, if there's any more delays in this getting out, I'm going to say people are going to assume there's just awful stuff in this, and that it's really going to weaken his administration. And this what she tames the beast. He's not going to be able to tame the beast of all of those around him. That he's just not going to have an iron grip that he thinks he had the last time around. If he, there I go again, if he gets inaugurated. I've been really against this giving false hope, but that keeps slipping out. So I'm going to say, I'm not going to say it's going to happen, but it may be a stronger possibility. So in the past, we've had the Queen of Pentacles, which is about the good money manager, but it's also about Homeland Security, where he came into a very secure. Of course, he's been messing that up big time. Very secure, safe thing. This was in the past. This is what he got in 2016. And let's see. I think I want to do another one of these. The Three of Cups. So there was kind of like a lot of reason to celebrate because he had really gotten away with a lot of negative publicity. But, and so let's see, one more card here. The Knight of Wands. So he was pretty much able to, well, the thing is that this guy, he's a young guy and a sign of fire, and he can go charging into the night, but sometimes he'll go charging and just burn things down rather than get much accomplished. So I'm going to say not that much. He was able to give a false sense of strength, but he really didn't accomplish anything the last time. But he did a good show in making it look that way. Okay, so I'm going to cut this a little. I'm feeling like what he thinks of himself, Four of Pentacles, which is whoa, when he's right, he just really sticks to it and he hangs on to it for dear life, but he thinks that's a very good thing because he's just gotten away with so much. Okay, what others think of him is the Queen of Swords, which is about all the lady prosecutors and judges who pretty much have his number, and I'm going to say probably the majority of the American people. So that's not really boding well with when this report comes out, because I'm going to say there are going to be a lot of, I'm going to say, your white women out there that will truly regret their votes. So let's see. In the future, this has come up before. In the future, for some reason, I'm going to think he may be considering getting out of Dodge. There's some stuff, and this could go to that NATO thing that I don't know. I feel like there's something going on with that, but I just don't know. But there may be a reason where he feels like he needs to plan for the future and find his, I don't know, Hungary or some other fascist paradise. And the Page of Swords comes up again, upright. Okay, there's a spy in the camp. I'm going to say, I've been toying with, my intuition has been toying with the idea that there are going to be other leaks with what is not supposed to be revealed or what someone saw. So this is like the spy in the camp that's going to communicate. So there's going to be even more unflattering stuff. And then oh, I'm going to pick one of these guys out here. So then to conclude this reading, we have the King of Wands in reverse. He is the unfaithful tyrant. And I'm also going to say, when I see kings in reverse for entertainment purposes only, I also see that they're either kicked off the throne because they were tyrants, or or death, or they're dead people, kind of caused by they've reaped what they have sown. So I'm going to say that this again, and they're weakened, that because they weren't that strong, this is all bravado. So I'm going to say that that fire is going to be quenched, and if he takes office with all of this coming out, I feel as though he's just not going to have that much power. He may think he can push Johnson around and everybody in the Congress and the Senate. I think they may start listening to their constituents about Social Security. So I'm going to say, as a result of this, this could be kind of an awakening of some of that. It's not the Marjories and the Laura Bimbos types that are, those people are, they're stuck in that. But those that would be inclined to not go with him but ended up going with him this, as a result of this, may not be prone to being bullied. So this is really could come down to the big weakening of the king. And it's interesting because we've got the we've got the smug merchant here. I should put that here. The smug merchant here, along with the king in reverse. It's like that pride cometh before a fall kind of a thing. But it's also about be careful what you wish for, because you may be on top in the way that it never ends well. It always rides for a fall. So I would say it may not cause his downfall, but it's really going to contribute to that. So I hope I've made your Saturday evening cheerful with this possibility for entertainment only, and I hope you've been entertained. So I'm going to wish you good night, and I will see you again soon. So take care, everybody. Bye. Oops.